What's happening, guys? My name is Phyllis and today we are going to build this fun game. So this of course my first computer vision game, and I will teach you step by step how I build this game. So stay along throughout this tutorial and I promise you are going to learn something new definitely. So we'll go through from scratch how I build this. So by the end of this tutorial you'll be able to also build your own fun game and play with it. Also, you can see when I press the R button, the game restarts and everything starts afresh. Your score will update and everything just works as charm. So in order to quit the game too, you can just press the escape key and everything will go. So that's how the control works. So let's go right into it and see how this game is built. Alright guys, so let's get right into it and get the work done. So before we start, I'll show you the files we'll be using for this particular game. So first we have this image which we'll be using as the ball. As you can see, it's very big, so we'll resize it. We also have the game over image, and then what else do we have? We have the bat here which we'll also be using. So it's very big here, but I'll resize it and we'll work with it like that. So these are the files we'll be using, and also I did a sketch here simulating how the interface will look like. So we'll visit this sketch some couple of times so that we understand how the implementation goes. So let's get right into it and import our libraries. So for this we'll be using the OpenCv library, the NumPy library and other libraries. So let me just import them and explain what each and every library will be doing. Alright guys, so these are the libraries we'll be using. You can see we have the OpenCv library here. We also have the NumPy library which we'll be using. Also we have the Cvzone library here. So from the Cvzone library we are importing the hand tracking module that we'll be using to track our hands. Then based on the movement of our hands we'll be able to control the bat. And then lastly we have the Cvzone library here itself. We'll use it to overlay some images. So now that we are done with the imports, let's go ahead and get our live feed from the camera. So we've done this couple of times, so I'll just go ahead and write it fast forward, then I'll explain what each line is doing. Alright guys, so I went ahead and written the bare minimum code we need to open our webcam. So from here we are just initializing a capture object. So we use the cv.video capture, then we give in a camera index of 0. So if you have multiple cameras, you can change this number here 0, 1 and so on to get the right camera to work with. And also since we are taking a video feed, we are taking it in a loop, so while true, then here we are grabbing our image here. This red is a boolean that shows whether there is video or not. So in absence of video feed it gives you 0. When there is video feed then you get 1 from it. So we are just reading our video here which we are storing in the image variable. So that's what we need. Then here we have read it already, so we have to show it. So we use the cv.imShow function. We give the frame name, we give it frame, then we are showing our image. Then here we are just waiting for each second. We are taking our image each second in a loop. So I can go ahead now and run this to see whether we can get our live feed. Alright guys, so you can see me live here and it's working. So let's continue. Okay guys, so the next step is to load in the images we'll be using and also resize these images. So we'll go ahead and just load in these images I've showed you before. The ball, we'll also load the bat. This will resize to the bat, and also we'll load the game over image. So let's go ahead and read in these 3 images that we'll work with. So for that I'll come down here and just read them in. So we we'll call first the ball, which is called to cv.imread, and the name of the image is ball.png. So we'll do same for the other one. So we also have the bat. So what I can also do is just copy this one and replace it here. Then instead of ball, we change it to bat. So is what the name is speech.png. So okay, so that's it. Then we'll read in the last image, which is the game over image. So we'll call it game over, and it's equal to the same thing. So here we'll change here to game over. And that's it. So we have successfully read our images in. The next step is to resize these images to a particular shape which we will be using in this game. So let's go ahead and do that. So before we resize them, we have to also tell OpenCv that we want our images how they are. So we don't want it to change it in the process of reading them. So we want it how they are. So we use the cv.imread_on_change to do that. And we'll do same for both images. So it's good to just copy and paste all of them in. Okay, so this is good so far. Then we'll come down here and resize it. So we can store the first one in ball again, and this is equal to cv.resize. Then in here we want to resize the ball image, and we want to resize it to a shape of. So I've done these calculations beforehand, so I'll just point them in for you guys. So I think the shape of the ball is 40 by 40. So copy this and do it for all the three images. So I'll copy it and paste it some couple of times, and instead of ball, we'll change this one to bat. We'll also change this one to game over. Then in here we do the same thing, which is bat, and the shape for the bat is 120 by 26. So guys, I've done all these calculations before. 120 by 26. Then finally the shape for the game over. So for the shape of the game over, we have to declare the height and the width of the screen, because the game over, we want it to cover the entire frame. So here is what I'm talking about. We want the game over to cover this entire frame, the four corners of our webcam output. So for that we have to give it the size, and the size of the webcam output is 640 by 480. So we can declare it here that we have our width and our height, and this is equal to 640 by 480. Then what we can do here is that we can do cap.set, and we give it 3, id of 3, which is the width. Then we punch in the width. We do the same thing for the height too, so we'll just copy this again, paste it here, and instead of width we give it the height, and the id for the height is 4. Okay, so in here we just replace the shape of the game over image to our width and height, and that's all for now. So we have resized our images successfully. So let's run again. Alright guys, so still everything is working, so that means you have not done any errors so far. The image reading in was successful, the resizing is also successful. So I think we can continue by getting the hand tracking on. But before that, we have to also define the screen size, so we can put a rectangle around it so that we know our game playing area. So let's go ahead and do that. Cv.rectangle, and in here we give it the image we want to put the rectangle on. Then the next parameter is the starting and the finishing point. So for that, I've done it beforehand, so I'll just put in these values. So we are starting from 0 to 480, then we are ending at 640 to 0. That means this is taking the entire screen, so 640 to 0. Then we want to also define the color of this rectangle, so we want it to be red. So we say 0, 0, 255. Then we want the thickness to be 8. Then we'll do another rectangle for the base, which is the down one. So for that one, we start from 0 to 440. Then we end at 640 to 480. The color is yellow, so here should be 255, and the thickness is 6. So we'll go ahead also and run this so that you can see what we've done so far. Okay, so still everything works, and you can see, so this is the red rectangle. You can see it has taken the entire screen. Then we have the yellow one, which is the base one. So we have to now put our bat in this yellow one. So it should be in the middle of the yellow one so that it will move from left to right. So that should be the aim. So let's close it up and continue. And now the other thing you have to do is to get our hand tracking working. So for that, you can come up here and initialize the hand detector. So for that, we'll call it HG, which is equal to hand detector. Then in here we can give it the detection confidence. So you can say detection confidence is 0.7. That means it should only detect something as hand if it's 70% sure that's a hand. So I think that's good. So now we can get the hand tracking from this part. So we can say ad.findHands. Then in here we give it the image on which it should find the hand. Also we can specify the flip type. So in this case, the flip type will specify it as true. And then this returns us with image and the hand in case a hand is found. So since we will need the hands, we have to first take the hands, and the second parameter is our image. So with this, you'll be able to get the hand tracking module working. So let's test it out. Alright guys, so immediately I raised my right hand. It was able to identify it just as my right hand. I did same for the left, and it's also working fine. So the hand tracking is working. So let's go ahead now and just get the bounding box, the box around the hand. Let's get the values for the bounding box. Then we can use those values to know the position of our hand on the screen. So let's just go ahead and just do that for now. So to do that, we have to first check whether our hand is being detected. So for that, we can say if there is hands. In case there is hands, then we can get the bounding box value. So let's call it BB box and this is equal to our hands at index 0 in the key of BB box, and this will give us bounding box. So with this we'll be able to get the box around our hand. So the values will be stored in this BB box, so we can go ahead also to get these values into other variables. We have 4 values: the height, the width, the x, and the y axis. So we can go ahead and get those values too. So let's unpack these values into separate variables. So we can say x, y, width, and height is equal to our bounding box, and these values will be successfully unpacked into these separate variables. I think we should go ahead and print this so that we can visualize it whether everything is working. Instead of printing the individual variables, we can print the BB box. If it works, that means automatically it's being unpacked. So let's run this out. Okay guys, so here is it. Let's raise the terminal. You can see immediately my hand is in. We are having the values. My hand is out, restore, and it's working with both hands. So this is good for now. So let's go ahead, check how we can put the bat in here and clip it between this box, the yellow box below. We can get rid of the printing here now. So in order to put the bat, so the bat is represented by the red box here. So in order to put it here, we have to also get its shape so that we are able to put it between this black line and the yellow line, so that it just stays in here and it will simulate our hand movement. So let's go ahead and get the shape of it. So for that we can just say H1, W1, and the channels, it has 3 channels, is equal to shape, is equal to bat dot shape. So this will give us the shape of the bat. So now we have to go ahead and subtract the width of our bat shape from the bounding box. So we'll store that one in x1, and we'll say is equal to our bounding box x axis, which is the x axis here. It's not the width, the x axis. We are subtracting the height of our bat from it, then we'll divide the result by 2. So we want it as an integer, so we bring double division sign, then we divide it by 2. Okay, so this will work fine. The next step now is to go ahead and put this bat in the position where we want it. So remember I told you it has to be at the bottom here. So let's go ahead and see how we can put it there. So for that we'll use a Cvzone function. We'll overlay it there. So we use Cvzone dot overlay png, and then first we have to specify the image front and the image back. So our image front is our webcam image, and our image back is the webcam image. Then our image front is the bat, so we want to put the bat here, and now we have to give it the position where we want to put it. So it takes it as a list, and by default it will put it at position 0, 0, but we want it to put it from x1 to 447, which I will explain. So we want it to put it at this position, which has been calculated beforehand. So that means we want the bat to be in this exact position. It shouldn't get out to the top or the down. We'll also later on clip it so that it doesn't get out from this side and this side as well. So that's what we are going to do. So now that we have overlaid the bat, let's run it to see whether it's in position. Okay, so immediately my hand is in. Nothing happens. The bat hasn't been overlaid. So let's check what is wrong. Okay, so the output of it will be image. So let's store the output in image, and then we can run this one again to check whether it works this time. I hope it works. It will work this time. Alright, so let's get it up. And you can see it works this time. So immediately I'm moving, my hand is also moving correctly. But now the problem is we have to clip it. Okay, let me use the paint demo. You have to clip it between these 2 points so that it doesn't get out here. So immediately I move my hand out of this frame, it will follow me, which will give us an error. So I'll try that so that you guys will see. So let's say I raise my hand like this and I'm out of the frame. You can see we got an error. I'm coming. So you can see we have an error here. So now we have to be able to clip it between these 2 points so that it doesn't get out here. So let's check how we can do that. So that's what we are going to use NumPy for. NumPy has a clip function. So we'll go ahead and clip it and bring the terminal down. So to do that, we'll say np.clip. So the clipping function takes whatever you want to clip. So we want to clip S1, and then we want to clip it from 5 to 510, which I will explain. So that means we are clipping it from here, that means from this wall to where the bat will be, the distance from here should be 5. Then when it comes here, from here to here will be 510. So we are clipping it between that distance only. So that one will still be, we'll store it still in the S1 variable. So we said S1 is equal to that. And what we can also do is to do this before overlaying the image so that it will stay in that exact position. So we can go ahead and run it now to check whether it stays in place. Okay guys, so now my hand is in. When I go to this side, it's still in. I come back to this side, it's still in. So you can see now it stays in position, it's not getting out, it's being clipped to that exact position. So everything is working fine. You can see I just move and it's moving smoothly. So now we have to go ahead and work on the ball. We have to make sure we bring in the ball and also put it at a particular position. Then we'll also go on and move this ball. See how we can move this ball. So to do that, we have to first declare some couple of variables we'll need. First, we'll declare our position. That's the default position of the ball. This will be a list. So we want it to start from 50 to 50, 50 to 50, yeah? 50 on the X, 50 on the Y. We'll also go ahead and declare our speed. So we have two speeds, the speed on the X direction and the speed on the Y direction. So we call it speed X and speed Y. So speed X is equal to 20. Let's put it at 20. Then speed Y will also be equal to 20. So you can change this game speed in case it's very fast for you. We'll also initialize our score variable. So from starting is 0. So with this out of the way now, we can come down now and bring in our ball. So for that, we also use the Cvzone function to overlay this ball. So we say Cvzone dot overlay png. So our image back will be our image and our image front will be our ball. Then our position will also be position, so we just put in position here, and that's all. So with this, we'll be able to overlay our ball. So we can also run this to see whether our ball comes on the screen. This returns out with image. Let's not do the same mistake I did. So let's run it now. Alright guys, so you can see now the ball is at the top, just hanging. So let's see how we can move this ball before we continue. So let's learn how we can just move the ball. So I'll close it up now. So the thing is, in order to move this ball has two positions to go. It either goes on the X direction or the Y direction. So to move it, we have to consider where we want it to go, right? So we can just move this ball down here if we can grab the position of the down and add some values to it. So that's what I did here. So the ball position now is 50-50, so we can be changing this position and the ball position will change. So whenever we do this in the loop, the ball position will be updating automatically. So let's say we want the position at index 0, which is the x position, to move to certain value, so we can just add the speed value to it, then to move. So we can say plus equal to speed x, then it will just move in the x direction. So let's test it out. We can also reduce this speed to something like, let's say 5. I'll change them back, but let's move them 5 so that we move the ball. We can see it slowly moving before it gets out of the frame. So let's run this and check it out. So you can see the ball is moving towards the x direction with that speed. So immediately it gets out, we'll just be going, and we got an error because it's out of our frame. So that's how easily we can move the ball. If you want to move on the y direction, you have to also change just the 0 here to 1. Then instead of x, you change it to y, then it will go on the y direction. But now the thing is, we have to only move the ball if it's not hitting this side, and this side. So anytime these balls come to this side, it has to return. So let's say when it comes here, we'll say okay, it has hit the wall, so it has to return. When it comes here, it has hit the wall, it has to return. The same thing as here. Then what we are going to control is this side, that when it hit the bats, then okay, we have scored 1 point. Anytime it gets out of this bat, that means we lose the game, we have to restart. So that's the conditions we have to check now in moving this bat. So let's go ahead and check that. I can do these lines for now, then we can go. So I think we don't need these movements here for now. We can copy them and just get rid of them. Okay, so we have to first check whether it's hitting the left and the right sides, and this is very simple. So that's what we have to first do. Let's check whether it's hitting here or here, the right and the left side of the wall. So when it's hitting whether the right or the left side, we have to return the ball. We have to just change the direction of the ball so that it goes back to any other free space. So let's do that. So for that, we can come here and do it, because we have to first check whether our hand is there. So guys, I think we have to do it for the top first. We can say if the position at index, that should be the y, so that will be index 1. If that position is less than, let's say 50, so what we are saying is that if this position here, if the ball is coming here and this position here is less than 50, let me say there is from the gap between here to somewhere here is less than 50, then we have to just reverse the position of the ball. The ball should come down, and that will simulate that maybe it has hit the wall and is coming down. So we have to just reverse the position. The speed, so we just say speed y is equal to negative speed y. So whatever the speed y is, we want the inverse of it. And also we can also speed it up more by just decreasing the position. So we can just say position is minus equal to 10. That means we are subtracting 10 from the position so that the ball will move down very fast. So that's how we have to do it. So anytime the ball hits the top, it's coming to the top and reaches somewhere here, we have reversed the direction, and also we have changed the position of the ball. We have subtracted negative 10 from the position of the ball, which is previously 50, so we are subtracting minus 10 from it so that it comes down immediately. So that's what we are doing. Then apart from this, we have to also check whether the ball is hitting the bat, here. So immediately it hits this bat, it has to also go up, and then we update our score that okay, we got a score because it has hit the bat. So let's go ahead and do it for the down. And for it hitting the bat, we can say if x1, so s1 minus 10, and remember s1 here is what? The bounding box. Our bounding box, we are subtracting the height of the bat from, and we are dividing the result by 2. So that's what x1 represents here. So we are subtracting 10 from x1, and we are saying if that is less than our ball position at index 0, which is our x-axis. So if this value is less than our ball position at what? Index 0, which is the x-axis of the ball, and it's also less than x1 plus our width 1. So now we are checking for the x-axis. So we'll go ahead. What we are doing, we are checking for the x-axis of the bat. So we'll have to check for both x and y axis. Then we know, okay, it has hit the bat. If we check for only x, we'll be biased and we'll always get error. So we have to also write and then we check for the y also. So for that, we have to check position at 1. So what we can also say is that if 380, which is the value I've checked beforehand, is also less than our ball position at 1. So the ball position at 1 is the y-axis, and it's also less than the same 380 plus the h1, which is the height. Is it the height? h1 here is the width, so if interchange it, height to width of the ball. So if this is the case, then we know the ball has hit the bat. So if the ball has hit the bat, then we have to increase our score and also change the direction of the ball. So those are the two things we have to do. So how do we change our direction? So for that one is speed y. So we can say speed y is equal to negative speed y again, right? And also we can give it a push. So on the x-axis, so you can say position at index 0 plus, let's say 30. So we give it that boost. Whenever I hit the wall, you have to return immediately. So we are giving it a boost. We are adding 30 to it plus equal to 30. So we are giving it that boost. And then the last thing is to increase our score. So we can say our score is plus or equal to 1. So that will be our score. Whenever it hits the bat, we increase our score. So this will be the condition for us to increase our score. So now that we have done it for both the top and the down, we have to focus on how we can also do it for the side and side. But before we check for the sides, let's first check for game over. So on which condition will we say there is game over? We can say there is game over if the ball here bypasses this bat. So if the ball is, let's say, below somewhere here, then we can go ahead and we'll say, okay, the ball has passed the bat, so we will not get any score from that. So probably that's a game over. So let's go ahead and implement that in code. So to do that, we can come somewhere here, we can get out of this statement, and we can say, okay, if position at index 0, which is the x index, at index 1, because that's y, from the top to down is y, is greater than, that means if the ball distance down is greater than, let's say, 400. So I've tried 400 and that's the value. It worked very well. So that's 400. That means it has passed the bat. So if this is true, that okay, the ball position is greater than 400, that means the bat has missed it. That means maybe the ball is somewhere here and it's not able to hit the top of the bat here. We have mixed it. So if that is the case, we have to bring in our game over image. So for that, we'll say our image is equal to game over. That means the game over image will be overlaid now. Then we'll go ahead now and put some text that okay, this is our score. Because there is game over, we have to show the score, and also we have to give the user, maybe if he wants to play again, he should press this key to restart and all that. So first we have to put our score. So we can say Cvzone dot put text, so put text red, and this one we want to put it on the game over image, not our image. So game over image. Then what's the string we want to put? We want to put final score. Make it small, so final score. Okay, so we have to also add it to the score value, so we can say plus string of our score, whatever our score is, we want to add it to it. Then what we have to also specify here is the position where we want to put it. So I went ahead and got these positions. You guys can change it if you are not good with you. So at the x-axis we want to put it 300, then on the y-axis 190. So that's the position. We can specify something like the thickness of it, how big do we want it to be. So 1.9 work well, and then the scale can be 2. Then the last thing we'll specify is the color of the rectangle, and we'll put this to be, let's say, black. So 0, 0, 0, that's black, so the color of it is black. So after putting the final score, we can also press R to restart. So I think we can copy all of this and just paste it, and then we edit it at once. So I think we can paste this, and instead of final score, we can say press R to restart. So that will be from here. Press R to restart. It should be small. And then we want to put that one at 290,305. So 29,305. The scale is 1.82. So we'll maintain the color as black. We are getting some error somewhere, so let's check. Press R to restart. Okay, we didn't end our string here, so okay, that's the problem, so that's good now. Then the last one, we can copy this and we'll put it here, and that will be, maybe press the escape key to quit the game. So press escape. So we'll do it ESC. I think SC should be small. Then to quit. So immediately you press the escape key, you have to quit the game, and we are putting that at 290, but on the Y is 345, and that's all. Everything stays pretty much the same. So in case there is game over, we'll put our game over image and write these tabs on the game over image. Okay, so this is working nicely now. We'll test this in a second, but before that, okay, I think we can run this now, or we should work on the sides, then we run everything together. So we can, for that we can say else here, we can do else statement here. That okay, else, let's check whether it's hitting the sides. So to check whether it's hitting the sides, we can say if the position at index 0, which is side x, side y, so at index 0 is what, greater than or equal to, so we can say greater than or equal to. So here, let's say 560. The width of the screen is 640, so when it reaches 560, then we know it's at the edge, because you have to add the size of the ball to it, which will increase the entire width. So 560, then we can say okay, it has reached the x-axis, the maximum width, so we have to reverse it. So that's it. We have to also do it for the left side. So position, still position at 0 when it's less than 20, as less than equal to 20, then we know it has reached this side also. So what I'm actually saying that from here to here is 640, the entire width is 640. So when the ball reaches, let's say 560 is somewhere here, we know it's at the wall, because looking at the size of the ball plus the 560, then we know it's at the edge of the wall, so we have to return it. Then the same ball, when it reaches here, we know it's at where the wall is, so we have to also still push it from the wall. So that's the condition we are checking now. So after checking for this condition, what do? We have to just change the speed. So we'll say speed x is equal to minus speed x. So we just negate speed x again, speed x and not speed y. So that's it. Then we know we are checking for the sides. And what we have to also do now is to put the ball in motion. So to put the ball in motion, we say just as we did the other time. So we say position at index 0 is equal to plus equal to speed x. Then we do the same for the position y. So we also say position at index 1 is plus or equal to speed y. And you guys know we've defined speed s and speed y at the top here, so we are starting by 5. I think let's increase it to 15 because we don't want it to be moving slowly. So now we are catering for everything now. So okay, so it's left with one thing we have to do. So if there is game over, what will happen is that everything here will stop. So but we don't want it to stop, so we can just count that okay, if this our key that we are getting, if our key is equal to ORD of R, or key is equal to ORD of R, big R, that means we are doing it for both the uppercase and the lowercase r, then we have to do something. That means the game is over, so we have to do something. So that means if you press the R button, what should happen? Okay, what should happen is that we have to restart everything. We have to restart the game afresh. So to restart the game afresh, then we have to update all these stuffs. We have to update our position, our speed, and the score. We have to update all to 0. So we just put everything here. We are saying okay, if R is being pressed, we want to restart the game, so our ball position will restart, our speed will restart, both speed s and speed y, our score will also restart to what? 0. Then we have to resize the game over image again. So where is it? We have to resize it to the height and the width of the screen again. So that is what we have to do if there is game over. So we put it here. And the last thing to do now is that if the escape key is being pressed, then for that one we have to quit. So we have to just break out of the loop. So we can say S, if the key is equal to 27, which is the escape key, we want to break from the loop. So that's all we need now. So we can go ahead and run it. Or let me explain it before. So what we are doing is that we said if the ball at position 1 is greater than 400, we want to put all these things that okay, there is game over. Okay, so if there is game over, we know we'll run out of frame and everything will break. So if that is the case, we want to just restart everything if the key R is being pressed. So if the user press the key R, we will have to restart the game. So for that, we restart the ball position, the scores, the speed, and everything. Then also we will resize shape of the image, then that's all. Else you have to allow the user, whether he wants to stop the game, then for that he has to just press the escape key. So that's fine. Let's run it up and see whether it's working. Okay, so guys, you can see everything is working fine. Let's see. Okay, we got an error. Let's see what is it about. So position minus equal to 10, line 43. So let's see, line 43, what are we doing at line 43? So position, okay, so the error is here, position at in the 0, we just written position, so position at in the 0. Okay, so let's give it a try again and see how it goes. Okay, so this time around it hits the bat, it goes, it comes. Wow. Okay, so you can see our score is not there yet, so we have to work on the score. It's dangling. Let's see. Okay, it still works. So let's leave it, go out of it. So the score is not coming. Let's see what the problem is. We are not getting our score. Okay, so let's put the score somewhere here before we overlay the ball. So we can tab in and use Cvzone function to put it. So we can say Cvzone put text rect. I want to put our score on, is it the game over image this time, or it should be on our image because it's already on the game over image. Then we want to put it, we call it scores, so let's give it a string. I think scores will do. Let's make capital S, or yeah, I'll call it scores or score, give space and plus the string of our score. Okay, then the next thing is the position. So I've done that beforehand, so let's put it at 270 and then 30, so it will be at the top of our frame, and let's give it a scale of 1.5. so you can see this where we are putting our score so that we can be seeing it whilst we are playing. We just did it here that okay, after the game it should show, so we have to also put it on the screen whilst we are playing. At least it can motivate you that okay, this is the score I'm getting, so I should go extra hard. So let's run it and give it a try once more. Alright, so this time around our score is there, is 0. Okay, it hits it, so it updates to 1. We are expecting 2. Okay, so it's working nice. We can see our score there, and this is fun to play with. So all you have to do is keep your hand in the frame, then when it comes you make sure the ball hits the bat, and that's how it goes, guys. So this is a lot of fun to play with, you can see already, and you can go ahead and also increase the speed of it. You can increase the speed if you think this speed is not much. So when you hit R, it will restart automatically. In case even I hit R from this side, it still restarts. So R will restart the game, then escape will just quit the game for you. So let's see, I press escape here, you can see everything goes. So you can advance this game by maybe changing the speed dynamically as the game goes on. So you guys can work on that. I know you are smart. You can also put it in the comment section, maybe if you want an updated version of this where we'll implement that. So apart from that, I think everything is working. And once again, I'll put the code on the GitHub repository where you can have access to it. Link of it will be in the description. So guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.